Mann, leading Emmy, served over 20,000 youth through speaking, coaching, and mentoring. He has inspired us for years. Welcome to Emmy TV Podcast with your host, Calvin T. Mann, the Encourager.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's that time again. Good afternoon, where we at Emmy TV will be discussing things about family, right? In the building is the Queen. She's in the building, and so is Dr. L. Booger. And they're doing his thing. And today, as we discuss, right, we're asking anyone if you'd like to call in and say something good about your dad. You could call in right now. The call in is 248-854 9850 to talk about your dad. All right, we're looking forward to hearing from you, but we're gonna have a discussion about how great fatherhood really is. And was just talking to my publisher about the book 15 things fathers should say, and we decided on a book cover change, and I ain't mad.
Really?
I'm not mad at all.
Oh, that's good. You should be happy with your book cover.
Yeah. Yep, I'm not mad at all. She wants to do a book cover change. We're going to change the cover of the book. So today, of course, is Heather's Day. So I'm going to politely turn the microphone.
The reins. I like the reins. You're going to turn the reins over.
I'm going to turn the reins over.
Right.
To the Queen.
Good day, good people. It's always good to be here. Always special thanks to our engineer who makes sure everything goes with a smooth and easy flow, which is part of his personality anyway. But thank you, Calvin, for sharing the reins with me today. I am excited about this conversation just because my dad in my life has been one of my favorite people. And although he has made his transition as of last year, as I share with you, I am not separated from him. I still have conversations. I still feel his warmth. I still feel his care for me and our family. He's not separate from me, even though physically we're separate. Our spirits are still connected. So if you hear me talking like that, that's one of the reasons why, because I actually feel that way. But there are a couple things I want to make sure that we talk about today. The first one I want to talk about is how our fathers are models for our husbands. And I really would like the ladies to call in and kind of weigh in on that. The second thing is fathers as models for our sons. So the image that you hold for your father, how does that image translate to what you want your son to be? And then the difference between expectations and assumptions and our understanding of fatherhood, and men in our lives, and our sons included. And then finally, wrap this show up talking about a wish list. So sometimes people get stuck on what to give fathers for Father's Day, and for us this is Fatherhood Unity Month, so you should be giving love and appreciation and thank yous and compliments and gifts throughout the month of June, not just on a specific day. So we kind of want to make sure that it's a feeling that the men who are fathers, men who want to be fathers, and those men who are preparing to be fathers have the acknowledgement and support that they have to be the best fathers that they can be. So we're going to do that all the way through the month, and then we're going to come back again at the end of this month and have some more conversation and see if I can get some my goddess sisters to show up with me, and then we'll kind of wrap up the month that way. So as I started, I want to talk first about fathers as models for husbands. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my dad and kind of why he was the model for the husbands that I had selected in my life, which I've had 3. So I got I got a lot of models out there. So some of the characteristics that my father had, he was the typical he was a typical man with the three P's. So that's protector, provider, and problem solver. That, you know, when you bring a problem to a man that's rooted and grounded, he's going to want to help you find that solution. And so the same thing for a provider, wanting to make sure that you have the things that you need so that you can sustain, you know, where you are in your life, or you can sustain where you're trying to go in your life. And then that problem solver, provider, and what was the other P? Problem solver, provider, protector. Thank you. Yes. And so I'll tell you just a quick story about my dad in the role of the protector. I was 16. My cousin and I had gone out to the movies, and we shifted from going to the regular movie theater to going to the drive-in. So as you know, the drive-in movie starts pretty late, and then they repeat the movies again later on after the main movies have played in the drive-in. So we decided, because we didn't have cell phones at that time, we decided that we were going to stay to see the beginning of the first movie again. So this is well after 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, I know my dad was not really going to go for that, but I was having so much fun at the time. I just figured, oh, well, I'll just take the punishment and, go about my business. Well, didn't quite end up that way. So we went with a close friend of the family. He's probably, and this is significant, my dad was probably about, 5'10", maybe?
Yeah, he's about 5'10".
So he's about 5'10", probably at the time, maybe around 265, something like that. So, he was a pretty stocky man and not really tall, but the guy we went out with, he was like 6'4" and probably closer to 300 pounds. He was a football player at the time we were in high school. So when we came back from the drive-in, so we probably got back. Now, we did some other stuff. So after the drive-in movie was out, we drove downtown. So, I already knew that I was going to be in trouble. So we went driving downtown. So we got back. It was probably 3:30 in the morning. I was thinking, under the impression that my dad would probably be asleep and we could just ease into the house without him knowing. Well, when we pulled up, my dad was standing outside of the house on the sidewalk with his walking stick. He always had this staff in his hands. And so he stood there. We got out the car, and I thought, he was about to snatch, because the look on his face was like somebody's about to get snatched up. So we thought it was us. My dad went directly to him and literally lifted him up off the ground. He said, "I trusted you to go to the movies and come back and bring them back in a reasonable time." So he actually held him responsible. We got in trouble, don't get me wrong, but I had never seen the rage, which was probably fear. It looked like rage to me at that time. So he physically lifted him up off the ground on the side of his car and was talking to him, holding him up in the air. And so we're like, don't kill him, because that was the amount of rage that he had. And I think he was doing a couple things at one time. One, he was making a correction. So of course, that never happened again. And once the story got out, we never had those kind of dates or, people who were in our life that really kept us out like that, because pretty much the story got out in our neighborhood and everybody knew better. Like, if you with them, you say you come back at 11, you better be back by 11, and that was it. So nobody wanted to have that happen. So we pretty much had easy course after that. But the young man that was our close family friend then became a father with daughters. And as much as he's actually a police officer now too, but much the same way he has that kind of protective nature over his daughter and his sister. We saw that happen because, of course, we've seen him all of his life. So really important piece that was learned behavior from that point forward. But for us, for me in particular, I can't speak so much for my cousin, but for me, it did instill a sense of a fear, for one, about breaking rules and not respecting, because it was actually a disrespect to him, because I knew it was consequences for me, but I didn't think about how my dad would feel, not knowing where I was, not being able to have me to call and say that I'm going to be late or any of those things. But I didn't recognize that. Now I do as a parent, that was fear. It wasn't just anger, it was fear. You didn't know where we were, you didn't know how to get in touch with us, you didn't know what may have happened to any of us. And so living all of those hours beyond the time that we said we were going to be back, which was supposed to be around 11 o'clock, it's a big difference. It's a big step between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. and somebody coming home at that time. So,
well, and you so respect comes into play, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's big to a man. So respect comes into play. If I trust you with my daughter, right, I'm expecting a certain amount of respect in return. And so when you all manipulated him into going beyond, because
yes,
that's what y'all did.
That's what we did. I'm not covering up.
So y'all manipulated him to go behind the time. You put him in jeopardy. And today they don't grab and pick up and pull you aside the car. Right. We're doing things just absolutely on a whole nother spectrum, because we don't even trust ourselves. So as a man, my daughter is out. I'm overly concerned, because I know if you would have got like I was, because that's a big question to a lot of men. Now that I have daughters, what kind of guy is my daughter gonna meet? Right. And if she meets the kind of guy that I was, right? And I was a respectful guy, but I was also Mr. Bloomer Pudding, right? I'm coming for it. You know what I mean? That's just what I was taught, by all my brothers, right? So about you saying about that mirroring is very, very important. I think he learned the lesson, and it taught him. If we could just get back to teaching, that right there was a learned behavior, taught, protection, care, respect. I mean, that's a great story. Yeah. With an awesome ending about your dad's legacy.
Yes, absolutely. And there were other ways that he protected. One of my favorite, this was when I really saw my dad as a hero. And so this might be, it may be different for somebody else's perspective, but at the time, my brother and I had a paper route. So I was I think I was like 10, maybe my brother was about 12, and we were delivering paper routes. It was in the middle of a snowstorm, so in the midst of us delivering papers, the snowstorm hit, and at the same time was a pack of wild dogs that came out of nowhere, and they're like, we had a wagon, we're pulling the wagon, and the dogs start barking and start attacking, and so my brother was trying to fight them off. And he was trying to fight him off and keep him off of me. So he put me in the wagon. So my brother's trying to fight the dogs off. He's swinging at him. And next thing I know, my dad shows up. He was walking too. My dad shows up. He put my brother in the wagon with me. He pull us off. He fight the dogs off and pull us home like that. It was just.
Right. Ben says many families from this generation had to learn to undo what our fathers taught us. It seems that our fathers thought being irresponsible is cool, being disrespectful and dishonest as well. I know several fathers my age who go all in for the chicken. Yeah, you gotta, and Ben, you're absolutely right? You gotta understand. We got to understand this protection is providing, right? You got to provide is the only thing you hear today. You got to provide. You hear me, Bull? You got to provide. And the only thing they expect you to
provide is money.
Give me the check and get the hell out the way, right? That's it.
That's not what provision is.
No, we know that, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm saying this is, and that's where they try to embarrass fathers the whole time. But just like he just said, and the same thing you just said, right? We found it, like I saw a conversation, and then you can get back to what you said, but I saw a conversation where they were talking about this Nick Cannon thing, right? Nick Cannon got all these babies by the different baby mamas, and, everybody. So the justification is that he's rich, right? He got money, so he can afford, right? But no one, until I ended up saying, So he don't have that much time. Some of them kids not gonna get the same time, which means we made it cool. And I listen, I will fight you for 2 minutes to be with my kids. I tell her all the time, Book. I tell her all the time. Her son is very, very fortunate that he gets to spend time with his dad. You know what I mean? Regardless of whatever it is, he gets to spend time with his dad. So whatever relationship he builds with his dad, it's between him and his dad, right? But he's getting that time. Whereas, some of us, we got to thump for that time. We got to thump every inch, second for that time, right? And that, it just amazes me when you hear stories like that. So I got a great one to add to that story, since we talk about dads, and then you get to take it over. When it was time for me to play football, and this is huge to me, we decided to play football. And, everybody out there on the football field, they had cleats, helmet. My boy Big Will had the 1942 leather helmet, right? Which, that's a whole nother story. They had... Mr. Primo gave us the worst equipment, because we're in the 7th grade. It's not like y'all don't get that much time, right? But we out there. But my dad knew Bubba Baker I was a fan of Al Bubba Baker. Now, this is the first chance I get to play football. Other than that, I was a street football player.
Right.
That's it. I'm on the streets, right? And what do you need? The only thing I can think of is I need a forearm pad, because my forearm was getting tore up by hitting because I like to use my forearms in football. So, I end up being good at using my forearm, so I better get these forearm pads on my forearm. And my dad bought the forearm pad that literally, when you strap it in, it hung off my elbow like that. So the pad was that long. So at the end of my forearm pad is the number 60. So I wore the number 60 jersey, Al Bubba Baker, right? Because they used to call me, Mr. Primo and them gave me the nickname Bubba. Well, eventually, when I hit high school, I turned it to Bubs, and then even Bubbalicious at certain times. But the process was I got that forearm pad. I carried them forearm pads with me all the way through high school.
Wow.
So that's how much things from dads really mean.
Right.
And we're taking that away consistently. And it's not just a one-sided story. A lot of men just drop the ball. All they concerned about is money. And a lot of women, they just drop the ball with our kids. Mm-hmm. And we got to change that. But, go ahead and proceed.
So the reason why I even started in childhood talking about the stories is because in let me just say, in my work, in my personal coaching, it's the places where a lot of things have their origin with us. A lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings, a lot of assumptions have their roots in our childhood. And they're ideas and ideals that have gone unchallenged or unchanged because you had them as a child and you just carried them through. And they carried through as expectations. So this is what I learned in my first marriage about the expectations that I had of my father were some of the expectations that I had of my first husband at that time. Some were unfair expectations. Some of them were assumptions. There were things that I didn't know that I assumed were so, because it always, in my head or my eyes or what I had seen, it was always that way. So I assumed it was supposed to be that way with him as well. And so if we don't make sure of the ideals and the practices that we have, that the real origin of them is something rooted in some really strong values and not just assumptions from a child's mind. It's really easy to have assumptions as a child. You can have assumptions about you could have had negative experiences with men, even your father or men just in general in your life, and put that assumptions that all men are like this. And then you live your life thinking that all men are like this. No matter if they show you anything different, your assumption is that they're going to be this particular way, and then you have the expectation of them being that way, and then you act as if they are the assumption that you made about them.
And the opposite of that. right? The opposite of that assumption, right? I see, like you said, I see, and the point that you get in your own way.
Absolutely.
Because these are the things that, oh yeah, he got this, but I'm not listening. Because one of the things I was not listening to truly to my father, because I didn't like my father, how he disciplined. So I didn't necessarily have a relationship with my dad, because my dad, guess what? My dad wasn't cool. My mom, she let me do anything. My dad, he wasn't buying it. Didn't realize how valuable that was in your life. Right? So here come this man. He looked good. He looked nice. You know, my daddy dressed nice. So he kind of remind me a little bit of my dad. Yeah. Right? And men do the same thing. Right? And the example of mothering and how we see our women. Ooh.
Yes.
Whole show we can do on that. Right?
Yes.
And
absolutely.
so that man that woman, she decides, oh, he the right one because he meets certain levels and certain criterias. And then all of a sudden, when you get into the relationship, right? When you get into the relationship, that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
We discover suddenly that, oh, that don't, my dad don't talk to me that way. Right? The people in my life don't say those things to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you what? You calling me what? But his norm is using foul language with a woman because that's what he grew up with.
Right.
So at a certain point, he lets down his guard, you let down your guard, and that's when you start seeing people for who they are, right? And then now the words that's coming out their mouth don't match, right? The one thing you hear in relationships that's incredible is their non-supportive words. And I told the story last week about the dentist at the dentist's office. There was a difference in the conversation. See, the difference of the father, there was a difference. The conversation toward the father was negative. And she admitted it. No, I'm the provider, right? Oh, okay, right? But then when you enlighten people, people have to be enlightened to how important men really are, because societal-wise, from the books to the movies to everything else, these are the types of men. And here go this guy over here, got everything, and you never even looked at him. He's got everything. And he's going to be a disciplinarian to his children. He's going to help educate his children. He cooks. He's got everything. You look over there at him, and you're like, oh, man, look at his shoes. Oh, he dressed like old MacDonald had a farm, right? You go to snapping about him. Oh, what you talking about? He too soft. I can't, right? I'll run over him. You see what I'm saying? I'll never forget that conversation when the conversation was, what would you do if you had a really good man? Oh, he can't be too good because I'll run over him. Huh? Then you don't know what a good man is. Right? And vice versa. Right? The one young lady I had a conversation with, dude was abusive to her because she was nice. Just because she was nice. He couldn't believe this is the type of person she was. And so he was abusive to her because she was nice. It's incredible.
Yeah. And again, so if, when we are looking for, when we're looking at our fathers for models, that means we're looking for the things that they were that could be multiplied in a husband, or the things that they weren't or fell short on that we want and need. So we have to be able to manage the change. We have to be able to share the expectations. We have to be able to have the conversations. So getting to know somebody up front so you understand what's at their core values. Because some people can be set in their ways and they don't want to change. So if what you need is, needs to be shaped and formed, one, you have to be willing to do it for yourself. You have to be willing. If you want somebody giving, then you need to be giving. If you want somebody who has joy, then you have to have joy. So don't have the expectation of somebody that you're not willing to have for yourself.
Right.
So so just when we're looking at fathers and models for fathers, and then now fathers as models for our sons. Now when we look at our fathers, there is a progression. Boys become men, become husbands, become fathers. There is an order. There is an essential order, just like girls become women, become wives, become mothers. There is an essential order, and that order is for a reason. However, wherever you start in that process, recognize that there is a role that is being performed. It's a title that you're given first, and there is a role that you start to grow into. That's really important when we start talking about looking at what we want from someone. When we say that we want a certain type of husband, or we want a certain type of wife, or we want our child to have a certain type of father, we have to recognize that you grow into roles. You're not born into a role. And I think that's an unfair expectation that we have of one another. Because you're a mother, you assume that you have all the skills and all the requirements and all the needs that a good seasoned mother would have. But that's not necessarily the case. You grow into that title that you have just by giving birth to someone, just like for a father. You have this child now, and it gives you the title of father, but the role is what you learn, and you grow into that role. It's not something that you automatically have. It's through experience, it's through education, it's through modeling, it's through examples. And if you're not looking outside of yourself for those and looking at more than one, don't get caught up with just looking at one role, maybe the one that you witnessed growing up, like I talk about my father. But there were also other men in my life. My godfather, I had uncles, I had neighbors, I had teachers. So that father role expanded to more than just my dad. It expanded to those other roles of what I saw other men that I could identify with. You know, the good things that I wanted to have in my life. And now, as a mom, the things I want to have in my son's life. So if you're like me, you have a blended family, you have, and you have your child has a different father from who you're married to. That's a different type of story. Again, the story is you get the title once the child is born of a mother and father. But what they become is based on their education, what they decide to learn, what they decide to absorb, what value they share, what experience they had in the past. So we have to have those conversations. So the first part of that is to be mindful that when you decide to date or come together with someone, that should be one of the questions that you have. Because some things, you have some control over and some choice in, and some things, God was using you as the vessel, the two of you as the vessel to bring that life into the world. But now that life is into the world and you're now entrusted, you're entrusted as a steward over that life. It's not your possession. It's this what you're stewarded to become. And again, you become. You don't know everything when a child is born. Some of it you can learn. Some of it is your model. But some of it is the expansion and the exposure that you have to others. Huge thing. So as we look at what we want in our sons, right? We want them to have the 3 Ps. Definitely, right? That makes sense. We want them to be problem solvers. We want them to be providers. I mean, not just for yourself and not just financially, but provide support, provide encouragement, provide a safe space. And the third one is being a protector. We want you to be able to protect, and that's making good choices, right? Protection is about making good choices about the environment that you're in, what you allow in that environment. That's part of being a protector as well. Those things are important. So those are at least 3 things that I know I want for my son.
Well, those are 3 pretty good
I have some other things too. But values.
I'm sure those are important values, right?
Right.
And it's work when you come to a blended family because you got 2 different traditions. You got those things, and you need to understand. And there's your word is
consensus,
and my word is compromise, right?
Right.
I think compromise. You say consensus,
right?
Right. But in that process, it's for the family, right? What is the one thing, this system, what was the one thing they wanted to do? Destroy family.
divide.
completely.
Divorce, divide.
Right? And once they were able to do that, guess what else they're able to do? Now that there's really no family, no consciousness, no work within the family, the sense of family, that whole piece, now guess what I have access to? Right? And so as we ask people to call in to say something valuable about their fathers, that's it in a nutshell. You know, I'm sitting at an event, speaking of events, this Saturday, June 18th, father-son breakfast. All fathers are welcome. It's a fundraiser at the
Fellowship Chapel.
Yeah, Fellowship Chapel, right? And
On Outer Drive.
yes, on Outer Drive. Thank you. Right, and it's on Outer Drive. It's Saturday from 10 to 1. Right, and then after that, we partner with Detroit Ice, and so we're doing a fatherhood picnic, spades, dominoes, the contest. You can win a barbecue pit. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna crack some jokes, but more importantly, we're giving out free Good Fathers Only memberships. We're getting more fathers to get involved with the mentoring process as well, and that's this Saturday, June 18th. So we banging all day
Crowell.
at Crowell. That one is at Crowell. But when you're talking about the whole family process, we're not saying we're returning to the old patriarch way. It's not what we're saying, right? Because as I said on many occasions, women have dreams. Men have to learn to make the adjustment to a woman having her dream. She might be successful with her dream. You might have to make the adjustment and being supportive of her dream and supporting her through her dream. She might make more money than you. You're going to have to understand the partnership and the things that you bring to the table that are very, very valuable to your family unit, not to your ego, not to the point that you are, I'm the man. You're going to listen to me. That conversation is over. That's the old patriarch way. Y'all can bury that. You got to be able to have a conversation with the person that you tell that you love. You got to be able to build a family, not dictate a family, but build one. It's so important, right, to your legacy, as well as women must begin to value men and what they bring to the table. And if you don't know, you need to ask. There are plenty of books out there that's about men and fathers. There are plenty of books out there about us, how to love us. There are plenty of books out there.
25 ways.
25 ways to love it, right? So these are the things that are out there, and that's a great question. The next time I'm around a group of women, I'm going to ask, what book have you picked up to learn about the man that's in your life and how to? Yes, 25 ways, right? And being able to... yes, 25 Ways. Get 25 Ways is at Amazon by Ms. Heather Rue. It's exclusively, and it also help you keep your 25 Ways to keep your man, right? I'm really working at this other thing, we're shaping. Before You Lose Your Man. I'm really pushing that one. Hopefully we'll get that soon, but in the process, these are the very things that you're talking about, and that men gripe about. We was listening to a podcast, and I'm like, men are having conversations about what a woman's supposed to do because we know that what we're supposed to do is small, but we know that that's not going to happen. We know that today's woman, right, as you know, she does have hair weave. She really can't cook, but she's smart, and she's business savvy. She really don't know how to talk to you, or right. So you got to be able to meet them in a way that we can collaborate better for the family. Money has. My man said in the 80s, he said, money is the key to end all your woes. But now we got money. Money has been the key to destroy your family because we'll do anything for money. And money has become so many people's God that the family is also being lost simply because of money. We can always make money. It ain't like you not gonna make no money tomorrow. We can always make money. They're not about to stop capitalism yesterday. So you can always make money, right? But you can't always save your family. Miss Heather?
All right. So I kind of want to get, we talked a little bit about expectations and assumptions. So I really would like to have this conversation. So if you're out there, you're listening, you're watching, and we're talking about what are some of the ideal gifts for dads? Not the traditional tie and socks and, Old Spice. So talking about some of the gifts for your dad. So I have a couple of ideas for you to start off, but love to hear what anybody else out there might want to add, or anybody that's watching us on social media. Gifts for dad. And remember that gifts can be given throughout the year, of course, but for the Fatherhood Unity Month is what the month of June represents. And we're looking at how can we show appreciation for the dads, the fathers, the male mentors, the father figures, those male teachers, right, who sometimes have to serve as father figures to our sons and to our daughters even. Some of the gifts that are good gifts to give. So one, if you don't want to buy a gift, a great gift, of course, a gift card. You can't go wrong with a gift card. Make sure that those gift cards, you could do an Amazon gift card. You could do, and we don't want to necessarily stereotype our dads about having to give them power tools either. That's not necessarily an ideal dad gift unless your dad is actually asking for that gift. So not something, when you think about gift giving, think about wellness giving as well. So wellness being things that help them with self-care, things that help them find time to relax, and things that help to celebrate who they are. So some personalized gifts are really nice Father's Day gifts. So maybe it's a personalized briefcase, or maybe depending on what the father in your life is doing. So if he's a teacher, some of the things that teachers love to have carrying cases to put their things in, right? They like to have things with their name on it to show that they're appreciated. So maybe if you're doing a small gift, maybe you're looking at a coffee cup, a coffee mug, something customized, either with a saying on it, something that's going to help them to smile when they see it. But also what you fill that cup with. So if you know that your dad likes smoothies and things like that, that would be a great gift card and a gift set to give as a gift. It's personalized. You know, it's something that they're going to like and they're absolutely going to use. How about gift cards for dinner? It's always nice to partake in fellowship over dinner. So it might be an invitation and you take them to a nice place for dinner. Those are nice ones too. Do you have anything for you, Calvin?
Well, yeah. Watches, exotic shoes.
Watches and shoes.
Right. A new pair of glass frames, right? Frames. A trip, a vacation.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Even just a weekend.
Even just a weekend away, right? You want to get your dad some real rest? Get him a room at a nice hotel for a couple of days and make sure that everything is taken care of, that he don't have to move. If he just want to sit there and watch TV, but do something when it comes to gifts. He got an old car. Go get an old car model. Do things. Find out what your dad likes.
Interest.
Right? And the things that he's interested in, because, it could be anything. Like, it could be old cars. It could be suits. It could be anything.
Customized chessboard. There's a nice, if you know your dad, the father figure, likes to play cards, there's a nice card gift set that they have with the different cards. They have poker chips in there.
Don't buy me no cards.
If that's not your thing, maybe not.
No, I understand. I'm just speaking up for mine, because just in case my kids is listening. Don't do that.
You don't want a gift card set? You don't like a game set?
No. Come with me, an exotic watch, some nice cologne, you know what I mean? The gift set. Take me out, but the don't do the cards.
The games?
No. That's your thing, baby.
It is fine, but
Right.
nobody seems to listen to me about my games.
Right.
What about you, Elbow? What would you say for your fatherhood gift? What's some things you might like?
I'm not really a gift person, so just give me a gift card.
But gift cards are good for you. So for food or items or particular places?
Either or.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, back to me. So I size 12 Gators, Cole and Han shoes, matching outfit to go with the shoes. You know, a hat. I'm past due for a real sweet fedora. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like you're asking for a gift card.
No. I mean, a gift card, sure, that's inclusive of the shoes and the jacket and the, you know, the nice little suit tie hookup, you know, a two-piece boy, something real nice.
I mean, you know, I'm open to receive gifts.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's not my first thing. So if somebody asks me, I'm going to be like,
Right.
I don't know, just
I don't
pick
know.
something. I'll give you my sizes and then
But,
you can go
you
from
know, give me
So you
that.
would be okay with somebody choosing clothes for you?
there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Make sure the receipt and some money is in the pocket.
So what do
You
you
know,
think about
just,
cash as a gift?
I'm just
What-
gonna be
what-
like, keep the receipt, you know, just in case it don't fit right. Or
What Vic always say, don't cheat me to beat me.
So is cash a good gift for fathers?
yeah,
Oh, for sure.
that's always a good gift.
Is it
Yeah.
really?
Money. Money, 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 money.
Because fathers is always giving out money.
Yeah, so the receipts, we might pee on ourselves or something. Like, I can't believe my child gave me some money. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. They don't, no. I told you that, how you looked out for me on my 50th birthday. People don't really look out for us like that. They don't. That's why I've been yelling and screaming about fatherhood value. Y'all got to see how cold we really are. They don't really know how cold fathers really are. They sit back and the movies help them because the movies don't say nothing good about you. So, you know, and then, like, it is absolutely amazing to watch this dynamic play out on social media. As soon as you say something good about a good man or a good father or something like that, you get all the negative narrative about how my dad wasn't this and men don't do that and men and black men is this and so on and so on. So, I mean, you get a whole plethora, you know, of information about how we ain't dookie. But in the process, they don't. What do you know that's good about a man? They don't have no idea. That's why I want to ask that question. What book? Because men to pick up a book on how to satisfy a woman. I did that when I was in high school. Cosmo. Cosmopolitan magazine, right on the cover, be like, here's how you satisfy your woman. I'm reading that. You see what I'm saying? Men will pick up information on how to please their women. They can pick up information on how to help their women. And we're open to that. I don't see it the other way.
Oh no, absolutely. Women, our whole industry is built around women and relationships and how to do self-care so that your relationship can be healthy as well as you.
They dropped the ball on them Cosmos. I know more men read Cosmopolitan than women. They ain't paying that attention. They probably look at that magazine going, oh, I've been doing that. What you talking about? Oh, how to have 9 orgasms? Yeah, I had 15 the other day. You know what I mean? It's just crazy how when it comes to pleasing men, we don't.
Well, I would say that yes, there are those of us who need additional experience and exposure.
Like the twerk
And-
class.
Oh, stop it!
You saw that
Stop it.
twerk class video? Oh, yo, you got to see this. A whole class of women twerking on their knees. The whole class. There's about 50 women in there twerking. It is incredible.
If we put the same amount of passion and emotion into just the sexual aspect of a relationship as we do or as we should the meaningful value-based assets in a relationship, I think we would be so much further than we are. And we will, and we will. I believe that, this is a change. This season that we're in is a change in season. And so the values that we want to see, we're starting to understand that those are also the values that we have to embrace for ourselves. So what you want for someone else, you also have to have that same value for yourself. And so I think we are in a season where we're realizing that a lot more. And that, bringing your relationships into balance. I think we're recognizing that a lot more. But it also does start with you. You have to love and value yourself, not at the expense of someone else, but love and value yourself so you can be the best you, and that person standing next to you can have the opportunity to benefit from your best, but also become their best. So not to tear other people down, but to uplift people, especially in the areas where we need to grow. We have to do more of that to have healthier relationships, for sure. Yeah. And also to, that part of that value is how we appreciate the men in our lives. How do we appreciate our sons, our husbands, our men, our coworkers, all of those men in every aspect of your life? What do you give as opposed to what are you expecting to get? If we start from that, if each one of us started from what you could give to help encourage and nurture that relationship, however it's coming to you, if we do that, and then in return, this is how we help each other to build and grow. You can't expect somebody else to be their best and you're not at yours.
Well, yeah. No, I like that, right? But remember, I always tell you this, and it's incredible. A boy is born. He falls out the womb. Mom says, right, falls, crawls, jump, leaps, cut, however you want to look at it. A boy is born. He grows up. He hears all of the stuff about what you can do. I'm proud of you. You're awesome. You can do this. You get all of that, right? And then when he's 18, he now has to go out and find the woman that can be encouraging, that can be caring, that can be supportive. He has to find that person, right? And a lot of times we get that finding part wrong, right? And we get that finding part wrong because we're looking at beauty, but we're not looking at inside beauty, right? So we get tore up from the floor up. But the thing is that when you get in these relationships, the very conversation that you have for your son is supposed to be for your husband. And the conversation that you have for your husband is supposed to be for your son, because your son is supposed to go out to become a man, then a husband, then a father. Your conversation is keeping the son and dispensing the husband. So I don't know how to talk to him. I don't know how, and we're seeing huge numbers of where the male never leaves his mother's side, right? Then you see a number of relationships in that way that it affects your marital relationships. And so what happened is immediately, because there is a male there, I'll settle in and just deal with what I have to deal with, and I'll complain about dating this whole time, but in the meantime, I got a grown-ass son sitting at home, can't cut grass, don't know how to cook, you still making his lunch, he 30 years old, you still talking about his daddy, and all the things that you were doing was working against you, right? And it's the same thing with men. Men grow up with this same mindset, and they're talking about women, and we're predominantly dogging women and saying negative things about women. What kind of woman you think you're going to pull into your life? Because of your words. How you talk to women. You refer to women as all these other negative connotations. Guess what you're getting ready to bring into your life? The very thing that you're speaking. So when you learn to, this is what God was saying, when you learn to speak and say and teach through your words exactly what your body, mind, and soul needs. I need a good woman. I need her to be able to do this. I need her to be able to do that. So I can do these things, right? So I need that support so I can do more, right? And I need her to be this way. I don't need her to always want to go out with her girlfriends. Oh, it's time to turn up every Friday. This is my paycheck. You know, I need her to bring her paycheck and bring our paycheck to the table where it's our money, not my money or your money.
And you know, a large part of that, Kelvin, I know we're almost out of time, but a large part of that conversation is what happens before you reach the bedroom. And we don't typically talk about what those things when we get to that point of intimacy. We're so affection starved as a community that we skip the conversation and jump into the bed.
Oh yeah.
And when we miss those conversations, you don't even know who you jumped into the
Because
bed
that's
with.
all they talking about.
Well, I mean that's part of the draw.
Man.
But it's also I mean that is our lower nature. Our lower nature is highly physical, highly survival based. And if you're starving for love, if you're starving for affection, if you're starving for touch, it supersedes the conversation and who you really are, because I really need this touch.
Man, I'm going to turn you out. Turn you out.
I need this more than I need a lasting or long-term relationship. We think that we can turn that physical relationship into a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at having a healthy relationship that includes a physical connection to build something greater from that. I think we miss the order. We miss the order, and we miss the conversation. So, I mean, that's an important piece that I think if you leave with nothing else, one of the gifts that you could give the men in your life is to listen and understand who they are. And the second gift that you can give is respect. And then the other gifts, material gifts, come after that. But you gotta have an understanding of who that individual person is.
Crazy.
You have to have a healthy level of respect for him, whether it's your son, husband, godfather, father. You have to have a healthy respect for him and who he is.
He got to be able to make just as much money as if he ain't on my level. I ain't messing with him. That's why they all crossing over. Because the education, that whole piece, you crossing over. You see a whole lot of crossing over going on. There's a whole lot of that happening because you've been the snide food. I don't have time to learn from that black man. Yep, I use him, dog him, say all these other things, but I'm going to go over here. I'm going to cross over quick. But to add to your, please tell everybody, Heather, exactly, please, where they can reach you at.
So you can reach me at more than one way, but you can start with my website at Your Inspired Journey. There are articles, there are workshops, there are ways to get one-on-one coaching there. There are blog talk radio shows. There's lots of information and tools that you can use. So that's one. And the second one, you can always give me a call at 313-759-7855. Again, that's 313-759-7855. That's my business line. You can reach me there.
Awesome. Of course, you can reach me at EMIY.com. We come today, I remember having this conversation earlier today about what we do with our podcast. You know, it was asked, Carol, what you do with your... I said, everything we do on our podcast is about the restoration of family. We talk about mental health. We talk about physical health. We talk about dads, moms. Of course, I'm going to talk about boys and fathers because that's who I am. And mainly that's where the work needs to be. But I'll say this, you know, we put out this show. We ask people to be committed, to call in and say something good about their dads. Every Father's Day has come up since, you know, we've been championing fathers louder and louder and louder. It's getting bigger and bigger, and we'll be impacting this Saturday. But I want to say this to you, and I think you really, really need to take this to heart. A lot of people don't really love their dads. They tolerate them. Show your dad that you love him. Get to know him. Listen to him. Show your grandfather. Same thing. Go talk to your granddad. Get the wisdom out of your dads and your grandfathers and your uncles. And to all of you out there who are abusive to women, stop it. Next Monday, we'll have on a special guest all the way from Maryland, Sister for Sister, and we'll be talking about domestic violence and HIV next Monday at 4 p.m. right here on METV. But more important, I just want you to remember this message that we keep bringing to you is simply to improve families. We got to do a better job with each other. And then, and only then, will we see more legacy and less death. My name is Calvin Mann. God bless you and encourage me. I'm young. Peace.